and also getting fellow left wingers, liberals and lefties, actually engaged in the process, right? Which, by the way, if you're hearing this, I please would encourage you to vote, get registered. If you can carpool others or use stay-at-home voting, you can always just send it through the mail. But please, there's tons of different, races that are going on, or elections that are going on for a variety of issues and a variety of offices. And if you don't want to vote for anything, if you don't want to vote for the presidency, or if you don't want to vote for any federal offices, I would still encourage you to look into what's going on in your local community, in your county, in your state, because all of these things matter. And you don't want to be like driving down the freeway, like a year or two later, and then be talking about, why am I paying more tolls on these highways, and yet they seem to be being, less maintained and falling apart. You know what I'm saying? And that's not hyperbole. It's shit that's happening every day somewhere around the world. Privatization of public goods and services, and then the, all the money that is supposed to be into maintaining them and improving them are just pocketed. You know what I'm saying? And then we end up, with crumbling infrastructure and potholes, like it's fucking ridiculous. So, just something to be mindful of, that while voting is not the only way of changing society, it's an option, and we need to be taking advantage of all options and all opportunities, because the opposition sure as hell does. You don't care about politics? Well, guess who does? Your boss, you know what I'm saying? Your landlord, you know what I'm saying? The police, you know what I'm saying? All those people, the people who really have, the bank, the bank and the loan officers and whatnot, they give a fuck. They're paying close attention. Are we just gonna let them continue to decide for us? I thought we were supposed to be resisting. So fucking resist. So, we'll talk about politics just a little bit more. Nothing too deep. So once again, over the holidays, another startling event occurred. The Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Notorious RBG, was admitted to the hospital for a few days after reporting chills. And so, she was released a few days later, but I'm really getting tired of this back and forth. There was somebody I follow on Twitter who said that they believed Ruth Bader Ginsburg not retiring during Obama's term and allowing him to elect another liberal justice, just in case, we didn't get a Democrat after Obama's second term. He said that this person, Twitterer, said that was one of the most selfish political act of the last decade. And the thing is, I can't even disagree with them. I cannot disagree with them. This is, bugging the fuck out of me. It's like, I don't want to be too morbid and stuff, but it's like, look, man, we all got to go someday. And the stakes here are larger than just this, personality cult around a Supreme Court justice that nobody even used to give a fuck about, until we absolutely had to. Because right now it's a 4-3 majority, conservative majority in the Supreme Court, right? So let's say that they get a 5-2, they get a super majority. Not only are we gonna have to live with the ramifications of that for decades, in spite of how much more, liberal or left wing society becomes. One of two things that they're going to do when they do this shit, if they can get a 5-2 majority, you know what I think is going to happen? They're going to completely roll back, or they're going to further gut the Voting Rights Act, so that way they can completely disenfranchise, so that way they can completely, take away, it's pretty obvious why, right? They want to rescind the Voting Rights Act because that has been one of the most critical, because it's an actual democratic institution of our country. It's one of the few ways in which the common, citizen, regular citizen, can participate in this society in the same way as anybody else. It's the ways in which you're able to exercise your voice in society, right? Show your power. Promote or exercise your democratic rights. People have died and are dying over this shit. Or to even have something close to our system, even as fucked up and grimy as it is. So, so I think that one of the first things that they would do is completely gut the Voting Rights Act. And then and then the second thing they would do is either and then the second thing they would do most definitely is give the military and police more reign to use violence without any accountability. You hit all sides. You hit all sides of the of resistant forces to fascism, to authoritarianism, to capitalism. You know what I'm saying? To corruption. You know what I'm saying? You hit them all. You know what I'm saying? You pretty much gut them. You know what I'm saying? You take the legs out from under them. You know what I'm saying? With those two actions, gutting the Voting Rights Act and, furthering to take away any accountability from excessive force from the police, militarized forces, security, and intelligence agencies. And I don't, like I said, I am not a political. I didn't study poli-sci. I'm just somebody who pays attention to it and understands. I like to understand how power works. And power isn't about being right or wrong. It isn't about having the best argument. It isn't about meritocracy, you know what I'm saying, or equality. It's about giving yourself any kind of leverage over the opposition, using overwhelming force against the opposition. And overwhelming force doesn't just mean a gun to your head, but that's usually part of it. It's a buffet. We got to have a buffet style perspective and approach, you know what I'm saying, to combating this shit. It's like I just said before, voting is not itself going to save us. You know what I'm saying? So that's my concerns about that. I'm not with these cults of personality, you know what I'm saying, around somebody just because they, fuck the memes and fuck all these, there's a reason why, once again, to go back to like minimalism, one of the things I know I had to do after high school, even before then, was not watching so much TV. And even when we transitioned over to being on the internet more often, not just sinking so much of my time into the internet, because that only gives you a certain set of conditioning on how to look at people and how to interact with others and think about yourself and engage with the world. And it's like removing myself from getting caught up on all these cults of personality and looking at these things in a very, some people will call it flat, but it allows me to just not be so naive or be so that I'm not cynical, nor am I hopeful or have faith. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have rage, I have passion. It's just a matter of where I aim it. And right now, I'm, like I said, I'm really, concerned, about some of the other developments that are happening that aren't getting as much notoriety. But hey, that's why I have my own platform. Or not my own platform. I at least have my own, content. I do have my own platform. This is, podcast is a platform, right? And I can speak and I can say whatever the fuck I want and talk about it and, let my 30 or 40 people close to me know my opinions. But at least it's out there, right?